Welcome to Sumerian Forge. Today we're talking about Soulless Subjugation, the song. Right, so have you ever felt beaten and bruised and completely shattered after a day in your daily life? Well, that's kind of what this song is all about. Not knowing if it will ever end, whether or not we've been tricked into living in some sort of system that we're not supposed to be living in, that's unnatural. Well, yeah, that's what this song is all about. Anyway, so the intention behind the song is for the listener to experience that, is to feel like pummeled from the get-go. Having said that, though, I have a classical music background. Long story about that, violin, piano, and whatever else over the years, and some music theory as well. But I also wanted it to be like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I wanted the listener to be able to actually hear every lyric relatively clearly, which is why that is my choice of vocals. Okay, the sound of the vocals, it's relatively clear. It's got the deep death metal type thing and type sound to it, and it's relatively audible, but it's also I wanted the song to sort of narrate a kind of poem as well. So basically the song tells the story of a man living in a world of machines ruled by a machine overlord, and it's basically his story. So the first verse talks about, like, you know, when he wakes up in the middle of when he wakes up, the beating starts, the scourge begins. It's like, you know, okay, it's actually my story, all right? And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. So when you get up, or even before you wake up in the morning, your phone rings and someone's wanting something from you, or there's a problem that you need to deal with, and like it just, like, come on, people, where is the respect for time? You know, where is your respect for personal space? And you know, we've had this whole thing ingrained in us where, you know, you need to work hard, you need to work hard. It's like, yes, okay, we do need to work hard, but we also need to live as a species. Otherwise, what is the actual point? And you speak to people and they ask that, and it's like, well, this is how it is. Is it really how it is? Or is this how we've made it out to be? Is this the accepted norm? Just like, you know, without going into politics here, you know, everyone adheres, well, for the most part anyway, to rules and stuff. But if government decides to hypothetically pass a rule that, like, stops you from, you know, I don't know, doing something, you know, and then everyone's like, well, I guess that's just the way it is, you know, we have to do it. No matter how irrational it is, people don't question it. So, you know, when someone wrongs someone else, immediately there's this, like, outcry, you know, you stole my thing, or you invaded in my territory, or whatever, okay? And there's a massive thing, because it's sort of like a one-on-one conflict thing. But this whole thing in our life, in our daily life, very few people actually sort of push back or set boundaries in. Let's just take, for example, one aspect of this, like the workplace, for instance. People don't set boundaries. It's like, okay, 5 o'clock is where I cut off, you know, and 8 o'clock is where I start, and I take a lunch break in between. Yeah, some countries have tea breaks multiple times a day, whatever, okay? That is your time. Now, I get that you're supposed to be paid for what you do, and you work, and you do what you're expected to do. That is your agreement with your employer, which is fine. But since lockdown, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but those of you working from home have suddenly like are expected to take calls at ridiculous hours of the day and the night, or the morning and the night, where personal time is now no longer valued and no longer recognized, because somehow there's this lack of trust between the employer and the employee, that you're not doing work, or something like that, that you constantly need to validate, like, where you are, what you're doing, such and such. Like, if you think about it, if you look back at George Orwell's 1984, those of you who haven't read it, it's an incredible book, and it is so incredibly scary, and at the same time somewhat realistic. So anyway, the whole song is sort of based on that as one of the niches. Okay, there's so many other facets to it of our daily life. So, take a work situation. Like I've just explained, there's this lack of respect, constantly getting pummeled left, right, and center. But then you're also a living being. You've got responsibilities. Some people have families, that they need to attend to or something, and none of that is actually recognized. It's like, even a death is an inconvenience, It's like, no, we need this stuff, yeah, but actually, like, I'll take this, for example, my dad died in September 2023, last year, and it's actually just over a year now. That's actually what pushed me over the line, and this music has kind of been like a therapy to me. It's been a way of sort of venting a little bit, where, I'm all alone in this. I've had to, sort out the funeral, sort out the finances, get rid of the house, pay off my dad's debts, all these things that I've had to do. To this day, I still haven't managed to get a court authority just to, check out his firearm from the police station down near where he used to live, so that I can put it onto my name, and to close his bank account. There's a little bit of money still left in there, which I want to transfer over to my mom. But that, and then I have to look after my mom. My mom, unfortunately, that's another story we'll get into in another video, maybe, here and there. But she can't look after herself. She should be able to, but she can't. So I have to get a caregiver. I have to look after the property that she's staying in. She's not staying with me because there's not enough space here. Also, my house is a construction site at the moment. It's only half built. Even this studio is half built, hence the mess. There's unfinished projects, so please excuse it. So but trying to juggle that and work, fortunately, my work situation is quite flexible, but the clients and the people that you work with in allied disciplines, that form a part of your team that you manage, they don't care about these sort of things. Nobody cares, and it's all about work and money and whatever. And money has become this god to everybody, where that is like the sole existence, the sole reason for our existence. And we've set out these rules for one another, where you're born, you go to school, you get indoctrinated. Sorry if that offends anybody, but you finish school, you go and study, you pick out a career. How the hell is someone in school supposed to know what they want to do in life when they haven't actually experienced anything, because they've been in school the whole time? That's another thing. Like, you're expected to make all these decisions. School teaches you to be a really good follower of rules, but not a leader. It's always the people that are deviants that end up becoming leaders and stuff like that, excelling in their fields, the oddballs and such, and but there are other aspects to it as well. Also, not who you know, but not what you know, but who you know, to get into the niches, to become successful, take over parents' businesses and stuff. Good for them. It's all good. But the fact is that we've been pre-programmed to follow this set of rules, and then, you know, you finish studying, you get a job, you get a mortgage, so you're indebted for the next 20 years. You need to get a car, so you get some more debt for the next 3 to 5 years. And then, okay, you can't afford anything because you're paying all this other debt, so let's just get a credit card and enslave yourself even more financially. And it's like, this is what's expected of us. Like, everyone's expected to have a house and expected to do this and expected to do that, and then you have to get married and you have to have kids, and it's like this preset guide. Here you go, live, and then you die at the end. And then what do you have to show for it? Oh, I lived a good life because I have a house and this and that. Sorry for my rant, but that is basically like the fundamental behind this song. Is you are enslaved by the system. And you know what, if you're in the system and you follow that guide, things go so smoothly, everything is so easy, you know, the money comes in and everything, but life becomes mundane, it becomes boring, and you start, you know, you just sort of accept it, and you become this drone, this piece of a machine, that you're just there to fulfill a particular role of the greater machine, and you ask yourself, like, what are the things that really matter, like, you know, those sort of things. So sorry, it's just like, you know, the song talks about all that, and it's just emphasizing the fact that, you know, there's no respect, there's, you know, you're constantly pummeled, you get the machines, the people, the elite, the you know, successful people. How did they get there? Majority of my clientele, okay, not majority, but a fair number of my clientele, I know that they've got there, okay, just FYI, my clientele is very, very wealthy and considered like some of the elites. Okay, they're not all bad, actually, some of them are really nice. But there's also some of them that I've come across over the years that, you know, they didn't get there through legitimate means. You know that they screwed someone over, that they constantly screw everybody over to get their way. I mean, you know, holding back an invoice of payment just so that that money can sit in their bank account for just one extra month so that they can gain that much interest before they give it to you for the work that you've actually done. You know, that sort of mentality. And those people screw each other over. You see how everybody screws each other over, especially in the higher ups, all the corruption that's going on. But they still need the little people to do the dirty work. And the song is about a man stuck in that rut. So, you know, going through that place. So, you know, the soulless machines, they are the people that lack empathy, integrity, you know, ethics, and, you know, screw each other over to get ahead in life. You know, and then what does it leave you? You're this husk of a shell. Yeah, you might have lived and whatever. I know money makes things very easy. Like, you can do a lot of things. I mean, hell, if I had money, I'd do a lot of cool stuff. But I would probably do it very differently to others. You know, as much as I love fancy cars and stuff. And my dad was a mechanic. I grew up in a workshop. I love cars. I used to build race cars back in the day. In fact, I've got one that I use as a daily, but it's, you know, it's destined for different things. But I've got other priorities right now, unfortunately. But anyway, so yeah, the story is the man being pulled from all sides, you know, and the thing of being absolutely alone. You know, your struggle is your own. You're in this prison that you can't see, you know, like what Morpheus said to Neo. You're in, you know, there's this prison for your mind that you can't smell or touch or taste or whatever. But it's a construct that we as a human species have created for ourselves, and it's, you know, it's a prison ultimately. And you're bound by it. I mean, just the example is all the debt. You're bound by all that debt, and you know, if you can't pay that debt, you lose everything. So, you know, the chorus is essentially a summary of that. You know, the man yearns for freedom and you know, wants to break free, but you know, people I'm sure feel the same way, but they won't do anything about it because they're in survival mode. Being in survival mode is a horrible thing. You know, I've kind of been there, and I think I'm sort of there still, because my stuff's still not, I don't know what words I can use on YouTube, but anyway, I haven't got my shit together. And still, because, you know, looking after my mom and all that, and I'm trying to create a financially sustainable model where, you know, I can continue with my life while everything looks after itself, if that makes sense. And, you know, through legitimate means, of course. So there is a way out. You know, the after the bridge, the song speaks, the man speaks about rebellion, you know, and the last chorus talks about, you know, the realm beyond the world of machines, where he severs the ties and stuff. And the fundamental fact is, if I was 18 again and I knew what I knew now, I would never have taken out a mortgage for a house. Yes, I did buy one car on a finance plan, but that was a long time ago. And this one that I've got now, it is financed, but a very small amount, so it's negligible. But the fact is, it's too late. Like, you find out this information way too late. But, you know, the social construct and the social expectations of our society, where you need to have this and you need to have that and you need to do whatever, and the next person's like, I've got this, I've got that. You want to be there, otherwise you'll feel like an outcast. The need for inclusion is, you know, that whole peer pressure thing. It's there, it's a very real thing, and it ultimately traps us in this prison. So, you know, I've never had a problem with being a loner, but in my early years, I kind of also wanted to be that. I never really fitted in anywhere. I was always a bit of an oddball. But the fact is that, you know, I'm still stuck in that, because I wanted a house mainly because I have a lot of hobbies. I build cars, I fabricate stuff, I build everything because, well, it's the problem of being a son of a mechanic. I've always built stuff. Sorry, if you can hear stuff in the background, it is my neighbors that are making a bit of a noise. Even though this room is relatively acoustically treated and it's raining. So, yeah, I don't know. So, you know, the severing the ties is like, you know, once you're free from debt, in theory you're free, but are you really? Like, you pay property tax. In this particular country, you've got something called rates, where, take this for example. Imagine that you don't need to work, you don't need money, you grow your own vegetable, you're a homesteader, and you do not need to go anywhere, and you collect your own rainwater, you filter it, and that is your water to water your everything with. You do not need any municipal services. You don't need to go out onto the road, you don't need anything. You produce your own power, with solar or whatever you use, hydroelectric if you've got a river or whatever. Why do you still need to pay your property tax? If you're unable to work and you can't pay your tax, you end up losing your house. The municipal bill just racks up. They will not recognize the fact that you are completely self-sufficient and you know, you don't need municipal services anymore. There is zero security, which is why generations end up relying on their parents to sort them out when they're older. You know, I think it's a completely screwed up situation, and we're stuck there. I mean, I know there's a lot of movements around the world with common law, you know, away from the corporate entities like the municipalities and whatnot. And ultimately, that's the way we should all be living, you know, self-governance. But the thing is, people are lazy, you know. People want stuff done for them. They rather pay for a service than do it themselves. That way they can focus on their work. But again, it's a model that constantly needs input. And if you don't put anything in, you lose everything. And that is ultimately the summary of this song. You know, we've got this false sense of security when we have money, but when we don't have money, suddenly we lose everything that we have. I mean, that's why there's people on the streets begging. You know, chances are that they would be fine if the system taught them to be leaders and self-sufficient. No, the system teaches us that we need to do X, Y, and Z. You need to register for tax. You need to pay and keep paying until you die. Otherwise, you lose everything. So I know this could be a very controversial topic, and I'm welcome to as many arguments and derogatory comments and whatever, but before you jump to any sort of conclusions, I want to know why people are the way they are. Just because a rule is made doesn't mean it's rational. You know, I know that most rules, like traffic rules, you know, they're there to keep some sort of order, but they're also irrational at times. You know, there's a faulty traffic light or a traffic light that takes really long to change from red to green, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the week. There's not a single car in sight. You know, you still have to wait there, even though you've rationally surveyed your surroundings and you know that it's perfectly safe to cross that road. No, you will get a fine. So it's like this blanket rule, these blanket laws that don't sort of take into account individuals, you know, the individual's unique circumstances. You know, and yeah, this constant need to be better than the next person, and you know, always having new stuff. I mean, yeah, new stuff is great because, you know, you can do more stuff with it. I have nothing against that, but there's also, again, the individual need for a specific thing that doesn't fit the whole. You know, not everyone is meant to fit as one part of a whole machine, but rather a machine on its own. Your own little machine that you put together. You are all the moving pieces. Excuse me. So yeah, that's that in a nutshell. I did warn you guys in the intro video that this is probably gonna have a couple of rants in it and stuff. But there's so many other facets to explore that I'm probably going to make little videos of, but probably shorter ones than this. But this is a synopsis for the song. I hope you enjoyed the song. I'm probably going to make a short little video on just how I made the music video. I have never done VFX before. I have never made a music video before. I've made silly videos on the phone, but decided, you know what, let's give it a shot. So yeah, after making the first video, I realized where all the shortfalls are in terms of resolution, in terms of EXR exports, frames per second, chroma keying. Yeah, so basically I need a new camera as well. You are currently watching through a 5D Mark III with a Tamron 15 to 30mm f2.8, so ultra wide lens, which is zoomed in a little bit. And the second camera is actually just a really old phone. I don't even know if it's still recording. It's kind of just sitting there, basically doing that to cut out what I don't want and make it look intentional. So yeah, hope to see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you guys have any comments, please put them in the comments. And also, if you'd like to actually join me on maybe like a Q&A or a question answer thing, or just a general conversation, I would love to hear other people's views on this. I would love to, you know, if you're watching from a different country, or whatever country you're watching from, how things have affected you, how your individual lives have been affected by different circumstances, and what you've done to try and improve things? You know, has anyone else tried to leave the system before? You know, those sort of things. Anyway, with all that said, I hope you guys have a good evening or morning or afternoon or whenever it is you're watching this, and take care of one another. See you in the next one. Okay, bye.